right. Let's do this, shall we? Hello and welcome to another edition of the show. Let me turn my camera just a skosh this way. Hi, how are you? And lower my chair a little bit as well. So today is a big day. Today is the 20th of, the 17th of November, 2020. And there are a lot of things happening right now since the election. And I want to get to that. Right now, we are undergoing a nationwide panic and restart with regard to the COVID epidemic and pandemic. And it is bullcrap. There are a lot of outrageous things we're going to get to, including Gavin Newsom considering actually a shutdown of the state and also a curfew. Okay. Let me explain something to you real quick. That means martial law. All right. That's what that means. It means martial law. By forcing people to stay in their homes, not be able to work, not be able to go out, be able to go out to dinner, not be able to go out anywhere unless you need to go to the grocery store, and being home in your home with the door locked at whatever time, that is martial law. That's what that is. And it is unfounded and it is absurd. And the only reason why this pandemic has happened is because it was 2020. And the only reason why this is getting bigger and worse is because Donald Trump is refusing to say that Joe Biden is the president. This is unbelievable. And I'm going to tell you the latest outrage real quick here. And that is that Arlington National Cemetery has canceled its Wreaths Across America event for 2020, citing concerns over crowd size in the midst of the ongoing coronavirus pandemic. Wreaths Across America, a nationwide event that allows people to go to Arlington National Cemetery and remember those who have passed before us, those who died, whether on the battlefield or as a veteran. This is what Arlington National Cemetery has said. Due to the current COVID-19 situation across the nation within the National Capital Region, it is with great regret that Arlington National Cemetery is canceling Wreaths Across America at Arlington National Cemetery and the Soldiers and Airmen's Home Cemetery. This is an outrage. Do you suppose that anyone who lies in that cemetery, who died in battle, would choose to be there? Would choose to be there away from their family and their friends? Do you suppose that they would choose to lie there in the cold ground at Christmas time while we celebrate at home? This is from Karen Dernharn Aguilera, who should be fired. She is the executive office, the director of the Office of Army National Cemeteries. We do not take this decision lightly, despite the controls developed to disperse potential crowds in time and space and required personal safety protocols. We determined that hosting any event of this scale, blah, 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 bullshit. To the organizers of the event, this is what they are saying. As an organization, we are shocked by this unexpected turn of events. To say we are devastated would be an underestimate. By the way, I believe in Arlington, Virginia, but certainly right near the Capitol, schools are being canceled through the spring. Children are having their academic lives, their athletic lives, their performance lives ruined because of a lie. Where are the mass graves? Where are the trucks full of bodies? If this is indeed the Black Plague all over again that has caused an unprecedented shutdown of our economy and the economy of dozens of other countries around the world, where are the mass graves? I work at a business that has 300 people. 300 people work there. In the last 7 months, one person has tested positive for COVID, and he was asymptomatic. My son goes to the University of Kansas. One friend of his tested positive for COVID. His symptoms last summer were he was tired. He knows no one who has died of COVID. I know no one who has died of COVID. If this is such a massive pandemic, where are all the deaths? The director of the CDC said that hospitals have a perverse incentive, a financial incentive to say that people died of COVID even when they died of something else, but tested positive for COVID. We have never seen anything like this in the history of our country. To shut down everything. I want you to think about this. And I don't like getting angry like this, but I'm fed up. Right now, in this country, we've allowed ourselves to have the government say, we can't worship. In states like California, they've restricted Bible studies. You can't have a Bible study in your house. In the states of New York and California and Michigan, the governors are saying you shouldn't have more than 10 people in your house for Thanksgiving. In fact, maybe you ought to just not do Christmas. I am not a conspiracy theorist. If you watch any one of my shows over the how many years, I am not a conspiracy theorist. I am not an Alex Jones type. But this is absurd. This is absurd and this is unprecedented. And if they can do it to churches, concerts. Yesterday in Kansas City, I live in Kansas City, they shut down. Restaurants are going to close at 10 o'clock because somehow after 10 o'clock, that's the only time you can catch COVID. I have a friend who is he's a performer. He's a club DJ who performs in front of massive crowds of thousands of people. Yesterday, he was going to buy a truck. He was going to buy a new 4Runner. And he said, Rob, it depends on if the mayor of Kansas City issues new restrictions on restaurants and everything. Well, he never showed up. He never showed up to buy that truck. By the way, right now I am broadcasting live on Twitch. If you would like to join the chat room, that would be fine. I see we do have some folks watching. I'm not sure exactly where. The reason why I'm just broadcasting here exclusively is because my MAGA book is not working for some odd reason, and Facebook banned me for a month the day after the election. They banned me for a month for a post that I did September the 17th. They're claiming, I guess, that I had already remedied. Facebook took me off of Facebook for 30 days on all of my accounts the day after the election. What we are witnessing right now, guys, is North Korea. What we are witnessing right now, if you look at the mainstream media in this country and their denial of everything, the denial of the Hunter Biden laptop, we can go back to their promotion of the Russian collusion hoax, their promotion of Donald Trump's impeachment. Now Donald Trump, now that Joe Biden, they're saying that he is the president-elect of the United States, even though he has not been certified, and even though there are massive amounts of fraud being uncovered around the country, and the president's legal team is on it. You combine that, the mainstream media, with mainstream social media, which is shutting down people like you and me, have been for years. But on election day, the day after the election day, I have never seen anything as nakedly political as them taking me down for no reason other than it's the day after the election. That is North Korea. Back to the organizer of Wreaths Across America. It has been a trying year for all, and we want all of our volunteers, donors, and communities to remain safe. That is why over the last 6 months, the teams at Wreaths has been working tirelessly with local, state, and national officials to ensure that all of our outdoor wreath placement events are done so safely, following local rules and mandates. So they've been working for a year for this event. Like our U.S. military, we'll just adapt and adjust, work together toward fulfilling the mission, which is to remember, honor, and teach. But you know what? They're not going to be remembered. They're not going to be honored this season because of a virus that has a 99.997% survival rate under the age of 70. Because of a virus that hospitals, when they have COVID as tested positive, even if the person dies of kidney failure or heart failure or Alzheimer's or whatever, it goes as COVID. So they get lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of money from the National COVID Response Fund. California considering a curfew. Daily COVID-19 cases have doubled in California over the last 10 days, forcing the governor's office to pull an emergency brake. Why has this all of a sudden happened? Why has this all of a sudden happened with mask wearing and shutdown? Why has this happened? Why has COVID suddenly become 10 times as contagious, even though California is one of the most safeguarded states in the country? Why is it, guys? The masks were going to do it. Social distancing was going to do it. Limiting the number of people in restaurants was going to do it. Staying 6 feet away from somebody next to you is going to do it. Shutting down churches is going to do it. No concerts. There aren't any concerts in California. Why are there 10 times the cases this week? 2 weeks after the election. Why is it? So the state is going to have to pull an emergency brake. The governor said in a press conference detailing the state's response, a total of 41 of California's 48 counties are now classified as purple, the tier of COVID-19 related spread requiring the strictest lockdown guidelines. Just 13 counties were classified purple last week, which was about a week after the election. We're also considering, full disclosure and a little bit of a preview, the notion of a curfew. Before you jump in terms of your mindset and whether that's a good or bad idea, we are assessing that as well. You're not assessing it, you're planning it, you ass. Under the purple tier, restriction tier, restaurants, movie theaters, houses of worship are limited outdoor service only, and bars and only bars are closed entirely. Retail stores can open at 25% capacity with modified hours. Residents in purple counties were advised not to gather indoors with other households. Do you realize what a power grab that is? Do you realize what a power grab that is? Do you realize that if the government can come into your house and say you have too many people there? Do you realize how dangerous that is? Newsom said he is aware of concerns from local business owners regarding the imposition of restrictions and said providing financial support for small business was his number one priority when considering the state's budgetary needs in 2021. In the meantime, for the next 2 months, you're SOL. The governor touted California's state of preparedness to address the uptick in cases. The state has 11 surge facilities that can pop up within 24 to 96 hours and provide an additional capacity of 2,000 hospital beds. Well, why aren't they jam-packed? Why isn't the hospital ship ready to dock in San Francisco? Why is it not there? Why did New York never need it? Why did New York never need the ventilators that they said they needed? We're not stupid. California is issuing a travel ban, too. I didn't know if you knew this. Let me find the story here. California travel ban. I've got it here somewhere. There it is. This is the new California travel ban, just in time for the holidays, just in time for the time that you want to travel and be with the ones you love. 2 weeks after the election, would suddenly, despite all of the safeguards that California and other states like Michigan have put into place, despite all of that, this virus is suddenly raging out of control.
From LAX with details and reaction. Hi, Christine.
Oh, and as, by the way, two vaccines are on the way and will be ready in December.
Robert, keep in mind this is an advisory, a strong recommendation that will not be enforced. But California's health secretary says
won't be enforced yet.
If need be, they'll consider strengthening it in the days to come.
This means you won't be able to travel.
At LAX Airport, a spokesperson says airlines have cut the number of seats available per day for the holiday season by roughly 50% compared to last year. The governor's new travel advisory this morning now strongly urging those arriving in California from other states or countries, including returning California residents, to self-quarantine for 14 days if it's for non-essential travel like tourism or recreation. For some planning to visit family, holiday plans are now fluid.
Both my plans have been fluctuating. I'm visiting my mom for Thanksgiving. We just figured out that I'm going to fly back to Washington for Thanksgiving, and then I'm actually flying overseas to see my dad in December.
Over at Smart Set Travels, Barbara Ford says the travel advisory is another blow to her business.
I don't know if we'll even be open at the first of the year.
Oh, you know what? She didn't even have she had her nose sticking out there. She probably killed a half a dozen people.
How long can go on paying rent and telephone bills and everything with no.
Now, let me see. What's going to happen if you can't pay your bills? The government is going to say, here's a little check for you. Here's a little check for you. That'll take care of you. Well, let's call it a living wage.
Nothing, zero coming in.
She hasn't booked a single trip since March, and the couple inquiries she's received about traveling in the winter are now up in the air.
It just seems like a further shutdown to the travel business.
The governor's office
And restaurants and concert venues and everybody.
reiterating the safest way to celebrate the holidays is with people who you already live with. Don't travel if it's not essential.
Stay in your house with only the people who live in your house. And don't go out after 10 o'clock at night. And don't go to work.
But if you must, quarantine for 14 days to lower the risk of infecting others.
I'll definitely quarantine at first. I'll take a couple tests. If I
Okay, you see he's got a mask on there, and he's got either side of his nose giant gaps. You suppose that's going to protect anybody from anything?
I can, just because I feel
Oh, yeah, he's also like in his 20s, so he has no chance of dying from the virus.
like it's the right thing to do.
If it's non-essential, I feel like you should just quarantine.
Oh, it's nice to have a couple of propagandists here to talk about how it's non-essential, and I'm willing to go along. I'm willing to do it.
2 weeks, just for the safety of most people, especially if
Yeah,
the cases
just-
are spiking right now.
Does he know anybody
I feel
who
like
died
it's just a
from
good
it?
plan to have, so I'm for
No,
it.
no. Here's Dr. Fauci. No, I heard Vince Colonnese, the WMA. I'll call him Dr. Fasci the other day. Dr. Fasci talking about it's time to do what you're told.
It seems that every country is suffering. We are often compared with countries that are not comparable to us. We are not a little island of 5 million people that
Dr.
we can
Fasci.
shut off. We're not a country that would accept if a ruler tells us, you must do this. I was talking with our UK colleagues just today who were saying the UK is very similar to where we are now in outbreak because each of our countries have that independent.
You threw out the first pitch at a Nationals game, then sat in the stands with no mask on, sitting right next to two other people.
In spirit, but we don't want to be told what to do. Well, I understand that, but now is the time to do what you're told.
And in the words of Rage Against the Machine, a band from my generation, F you, I won't do what you told me. There you go. Here's Justin Trudeau of Canada. He's got perfect hair. He's got model looks. He is a socialist. And here he is. This is the reason why. This is the reason why the COVID virus exists. I want you to listen carefully to him, because the COVID virus to you and me is either a serious illness or an attempt to take away our freedom. To Democrats, to leftists, to socialists, it's an opportunity to forward an agenda.
The SDGs. Canada is here to listen and to help. This pandemic has provided an opportunity for a reset. This is our chance
What is it provided? What?
for sustainable development and the SDGs. Canada is here to listen.
Oh, here it is.
Means getting support to the most vulnerable while maintaining our momentum on reaching the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and the SDGs. Canada is here to listen and to help. This pandemic has provided an opportunity for a reset. This is our chance to accelerate our pre-pandemic efforts to reimagine economic systems.
Did you just hear what he said? Listen to that again.
Here to listen and to help. This pandemic has provided an opportunity for a reset. This is our chance to accelerate our pre-pandemic efforts to reimagine economic systems that actually address global challenges like extreme poverty, inequality, and climate change.
Did you hear what he just said? Did you hear what he just said? He's looking at this virus as an attempt, as an opportunity. Put your foot on the gas to socialism. That isn't about being a conspiracy theorist. Oh, I didn't tell you this. California, the state of California. Where's that story? Gavin Newsom. said in a statement Monday that the state should return, of course, to far more restrictive social guidelines over a rise in coronavirus cases. Now, he went to a fabulous meal with, I believe, about 90 other people this last week, and then he apologized for it, by the way. He apologized for it. He said, this is simply the fastest increase California has ever seen since the beginning of the pandemic. Every age group, every demographic, racial, ethnic, in every part of the state, we are seeing cases, rates increase and positivity rates increase. So every age group, every demographic, every racial and ethnic, every human being is seeing an increase in the number of positive cases. But apparently there's California lawmakers were planning to attend a conference this week at a luxury hotel in Hawaii hosted by the Independent Voter Project. Dan Howell of the San Francisco Chronicle says Hawaii has established a very detailed safe travel program. An Independent Voter Project wanted to be able to take advantage of that. The conference would allow lawmakers from California, Texas, and Washington to discuss policy issues while schmoozing with corporate lobbyists. KTLA reporter Bill Milligan said, "Unbelievable. Will the hypocrisy ever end from our elected leaders?" First, you have Nancy Pelosi with a hair salon, then Governor Newsom with his private dinner with lobbyists. Now we have California lawmakers at a conference in Hawaii while you're told you need to stay home. If this were truly the devastating pandemic that it is, lawmakers would be absolutely as terrified as they are trying to make you. This is Jake Tapper talking to Dr. Fasci about the possibility that Christmas should be canceled.
Of normality while still doing some fundamental public health things. We've got to get the vaccine, it's got to be deployed, and we can't abandon.
This ass has also said that we still need to enforce COVID rules even though you've had the vaccine.
Fundamental public health measures. You can approach a degree of normality while still doing some fundamental public health things that synergize with the vaccine to get us back to normal.
And here comes Tapper. Listen to this.
So not until the second or third quarter of 2021, though.
Yeah, it's going to be well past the inauguration. I mean, into the second or third quarter.
Christmas is probably not going to be.
What?
One, though. Christmas is probably not going to be possible.
Yeah, well...
Christmas is not going to be possible. I got 10 people coming over for Thanksgiving. We are not going to socially distance. We are going to sing. We are going to play. We are going to dance. And F you. We might even have 11 people. I might just invite somebody just to get over that 10-person limit that you assholes are telling us we shouldn't have. Here is Governor Whitmer. Yeah, that's it. Of Michigan, saying that. And by the way, Joe Biden said it's going to be a long, cold winter. She says that it's going to be. She's shutting down the state for 3 months because of the skyrocketing number of COVID cases that happened after the election. She says it's going to be a long, cold winter. Here is Governor Whitless. God darn it, I always screw it up. Whitmer talking about that.
Dire. We are at the precipice, and we need to take some action. A leading model shows that if we don't take...
Now, her sign interpreter is going to die of COVID now.
...aggressive action right now, we could soon see...
She is within 6 feet of Governor Whitmer. She is within 6 feet of the governor.
1,000 deaths per week here in Michigan.
Yeah, of other things, and people also tested positive for COVID.
Today, the Department of Health and Human Services is issuing an epidemic order to help us slow the spread of COVID-19 and save lives. The order takes effect on Wednesday at 12:01 a.m.
Tomorrow.
And will be in effect for 3 weeks. And we will continuously monitor the data throughout to determine next steps. Public health experts are warning Americans everywhere to limit our indoor gatherings so that we can save lives. This new epidemic order is geared towards stopping.
Did you notice it's all happened since the election? It's all happened since Donald Trump said, I don't accept the election results. And suddenly the pandemic, despite all of the safeguards, is sweeping the nation.
Stopping the spread by limiting indoor gatherings.
And they go ahead and have dinners. And Nancy Pelosi was going to have a giant dinner with new House members. And Gavin Newsom's California legislatures are planning on going to Hawaii. And Gavin Newsom went to a dinner, and Nancy Pelosi got her hair cut. And no leaders are taking this seriously. And this jackass behind the podium, but there was a travel ban last summer, and her husband went to their vacation home. Had no problem.
These steps are what the public health experts say we must take to avoid...
Really, which public health experts?
...overwhelming hospitals and death counts like we saw in the spring.
Wow. Here are the restrictions, by the way. Beginning tomorrow, indoor gatherings will be limited to 10 people. Small outdoor gatherings will be limited to 25 people. Wow. While strongly recommending people avoid travel for the holiday, the doctor and director, Robert Gordon, both said gatherings could be limited to include one additional household for any holiday visits. Well, thank you for throwing us that bone. Equally appointed were the new restrictions on schools. While in-person learning for grades kindergarten through 8th grade will remain, it will be suspended for high school students, the ones who are most prone to suicide. I added that. Dr. Jonah Caldum says that the nuance of the rule is due to more than half of the outbreaks identified at the state at educational centers were linked to high school students. 2/3 of those cases, those outbreaks, were also among high school students. This is preventable if you keep your kid home and depressed and considering suicide. As the numbers stand, Michigan has reported 251,000 total cases and 7,994 total deaths over the last 7 days. More than 44,000 people tested positive, while 416 died. Across the state, 500. That's just all nonsense. Some House Republicans in Michigan want to impeach the governor, and they should. Senators Dan Lowers, Lena Thies, backing the impeachment. Also other members, I won't mention their names because you don't know them. Here are some of the reasons why they say this governor should be impeached. Ignored court orders, violated our constitutional rights, completely ignored due process in the legislature. These are all true, and she should be impeached. Weaponized contact tracing databases to aid Democrat campaigns. Using our kids as potential pawns, and denied special needs students who depend on the services that occur during in-person classes. Caused the unnecessary death of thousands of our vulnerable elderly who died alone and scared in nursing homes. On Sunday, Whitmer issued a string of new coronavirus-related orders and dubbed the actions a 3-week pause. Alarming number of diseases of despair in the U.S. finds that suicidal thoughts, drug and alcohol addictions have surged 68% from 2009 to 2018, and that's all really happened in the last year. Washington Governor Jay Inslee, another imbecile, called a rare news conference on Sunday to order broad 4-week restrictions intended to contain a third wave of coronavirus transmission he said is rapidly spreading across the state. Of course, if you are destroying Portland, or that's in Oregon actually, if you're destroying a city and you're part of Antifa, then it's no big deal. Here is the governor.
So much. Simply put, we have to rethink these holidays so that we may be thankful when we don't lose more lives to COVID.
You hear what I did there? I included thankful when I say you need to cancel your Thanksgiving.
This year, our family will celebrate Thanksgiving and Christmas, but we'll do it virtually. But here's some good news. We're only going to have to do this once. This is a... No. You see, you've already done it. You've already done it a couple times, actually. But now you're saying you only got to do it once. And by the way, the supposed president-elect, his people are saying that it's going to be 6 weeks. Unique Thanksgiving and holiday season. We're thankful.
Everything's going to be fine. Just listen to what I have to say. You can trust me this time.
That more therapeutics are on the way, as is the imminent arrival of a vaccine. We are optimistic that Thanksgiving 2021 will be the best ever. But this year, It's just too dangerous to gather together.
It's just too dangerous after the election for you to gather with friends and go out and do anything.
Indoors, where the virus can spread so easily. So this year, when you join us in changing your Thanksgiving and December holiday plans, please know that you are doing it as an act of love for the people around you. And your
Wow. Such propaganda. My God in heaven, are you kidding me? All right, guys, I want to tell you something real quick here. If you subscribe to my YouTube channel and my Rumble channel, you could win a freezer full of Wagyu beef from Hassel Cattle Company and a Pit Barrel Classic cooker. That's Ryan Gower. He won last month. See that steak on the left there? That's the kind of steak you're going to get from Hassel Cattle Company. We're going to give you burgers and jerky and hamburger and sausage and steaks and ribs and all sorts of stuff. We're going to fill your freezer with this marvelous beef, and then you're going to be able to cook it in that glorious Pit Barrel cooker, which can be used as a smoker or a grill. Absolutely amazing. One winner. Got to subscribe to Rumble, or you got to subscribe to my YouTube channel at Rob Carson Show. All right? Do that. 2 COVID vaccines have been finalized. This happened in 10 months. They said it would take more than a year. At least Dr. Fauci said that. The president, in a program that he created, which is called Operation Warp Speed, Joe Biden would still be dithering at this point. I know this because I had H1N1 and got desperately ill, including having pneumonia back in 2010 when Barack Obama was the president, and they did D-word for Richard. So it looks like Moderna has a 94.5% effective vaccine. The U.S. government has already bought 100 million doses from Moderna. Pfizer also has a vaccine, 90% effective, and they've got millions of doses available. 60 million doses available by the end of next year. Here is I've got the HHS Secretary, Alex Azar, talking about the vaccine to propagandist George Stephanopoulos.
To you first on GMA to break the news about this Moderna vaccine. I stood with President Trump in March with Tony Fauci in the very lab at NIH where we engineered this vaccine on January 13th. And the president said back in March that he hoped to have a vaccine in 12 months. And Tony Fauci interrupted him and said, well, maybe 18 if we're optimistic. And here we are 10 months from the date when this virus hit our shore. And we've got a second 90% plus effective vaccine for the American people. This is really a historic day, and we hope that because of Moderna and Pfizer's vaccines, which we've already been producing, to have enough by the end of December to vaccinate 20 million.
Did you notice that all of the giant spread of the virus and the need for a shutdown happened right after Pfizer announced a vaccine? Did you notice that?
Of our most vulnerable citizens.
So that's 20 million by the end of December. Who's going to get it first?
Well, we're going to follow the guidance once the full data package is in, that we're going to follow the guidance of CDC, and they'll look at, is it senior citizens in nursing homes? Is it first responders and healthcare workers? It'll be wherever it's going to add the most value according to the data and the science and the recommendations of our experts.
So states across the U.S. and Joe Biden's one of the people related to the Joe Biden transition team have said that there needs to be a national shutdown. Michigan is shutting down. California is shutting down. Washington State is shutting down. This all happened after Pfizer announced it has a vaccine and after the election. Here is Aaron Perrin, Trump press secretary, talking about the vaccine.
Lead the way for not one, but 2 vaccines against the coronavirus pouring in on President Trump's Operation Warp Speed. The government allowing business and enterprise and medical innovation to lead the way for not one, but 2 vaccines against the coronavirus.
This is what happens when private industry is given the go-ahead and restrictions are taken off.
Coronavirus, and thanks to that incredible public-private partnership that President Trump championed, there are talks about 20 million vaccines being available in December. And remember, back in May, other news outlets were saying it would be a miracle if President Trump could get a vaccine by the end of the year.
And by the way, Andrew Cuomo, governor of New York, says it's a bad thing that it happened under Trump's watch and that he was going to wait until after the inauguration of Joe Biden before they would distribute the vaccine in New York. This from a man who caused the death of 6,000 senior citizens by allowing people COVID positive to be put in nursing homes.
Well, that miracle has arrived, folks. There are 2 vaccines that are going to be available because President Trump stood up the largest and strongest public-private partnership for people to be able to get a vaccine against the Chinese coronavirus. It's an incredible day for the American people, and they should be very excited.
I love the fact that she called it the Chinese coronavirus. By the way, nearly 40% of Americans are planning to have a Thanksgiving dinner with 10 or more attendees, and a quarter of families will not socially distance, a survey found. Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center found 38% of Americans are planning to have Thanksgiving dinner with 10 or more. 27% of respondents say they won't practice social distancing. I'm not going to because it's stupid, you see. Another 33% said they won't likely require their guests to wear face masks. Now, I'm going to see if I still have this here. Right now, you are seeing a new line parroted that, despite all of the safeguards, all of the mask wearing, everything, it's out the window, guys. Everything you've been told for the last 6 months that would prevent you from getting the coronavirus failed. Everything you've been told for the last 6 months has failed. Every restaurant closing, every concert venue, every sporting event, your kids play, wearing a mask, staying socially distanced, limiting the number of people who can be in restaurants, all of it has failed. I want you to realize that. All of it has failed. After the election, suddenly, everything has failed completely, and now we need an entire shutdown of everything. Joe Biden's transition team is saying we need to shut the country down completely for 6 weeks, but we only need to do it once. Just one time. We only need 6 weeks of your time. A lot of things can happen in 6 weeks. A lot of things can get taken away in 6 weeks. A lot of damage can be done in 6 weeks when you can't leave your home and you can't go to work and you have no way to make a living and you can't travel and you can't meet with anybody but the people in your household. What the hell? And you can't worship with your fellow congregates. And you can't lay wreaths at graves at Arlington National Cemetery. This is a media montage. And this is the same pathos that's happening in government state houses around the country and in Joe Biden's transition team. They are attempting to tell you to trust them this time. This is the media talking about how you shouldn't pay attention to outlets, I'm presuming like Parler or Rumble or MagaBook or Newsmax TV. Watch this montage. This is the scariest thing I've ever seen in my life. And I do mean that as far as control. I had mentioned that there is a triumvirate. There is the mainstream media, social media, and the Democrat Party. This is the mainstream media part of you need to think like us. Listen to this. Watch this.
Hi, I'm Fox San Antonio's Jessica Headley.
And I'm Ryan Wolf.
Our greatest responsibility is to serve our Treasure Valley community.
Now, this is how they convince you that they are a part of the community and they're here for your own good.
The El Paso, Las Cruces communities.
We're a part of your community.
Eastern Iowa communities.
You can trust us.
Mid-Michigan communities.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
We always are credible and would never lie to you.
But
we are concerned about troubling the irresponsible, one-sided news stories plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all...
There's the old grandfatherly type who's been on the air for 25, 30 years, and you can trust him because he is your trusted source.
To comment on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and
false news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these same simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And
this is what you do.
extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This isn't like all CBS or all ABC or all NBC. Somebody put these talking points together for all of these outlets.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous.
I actually know her. Her name's Cammie Durking. I like her.
To our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Even Fox, look at that.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
CBS, ABC, NBC, all with the same message.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 Do you know, I mean, does this not freak you the hell out? Because it really should. It really, really should. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Before I go, I want to play Sidney Powell. Let me see where this is. Sidney Powell talking about the election. I have it here. Let me find it. I've been talking about COVID, and obviously COVID is something that has suddenly been ramped up. Suddenly, despite everything they've told you needed to do the last 6 months, they've been wrong. And suddenly it is 10 times more cases being tested positive in places like California. And everything they said was wrong and it didn't work. I want you to think about how big that is. All that has happened since Pfizer announced a vaccine and since the election. That's indisputable. By the way, Chuck Norris, he quoted Samuel Alito. He said, Alito, this is what Alito said, "We have never before seen restrictions as severe, extensive, and prolonged as those experienced for most of 2020. The COVID crisis has served as a sort of constitutional stress test. Although that freedom of speech is falling out of favor in some circles, we need to do whatever we can to prevent it becoming second-tier constitutional right." Are you hearing this? Did you hear what those guys just said, the newscasters? All in tandem, all different networks, all fed from one central whatever. Think of worship services, churches closed on Easter, synagogues closed for Passover and Yom Kippur. It pains me to say this, but in certain quarters, religious liberty is fast becoming a disfavored right. Shutting down religious communities is not only unconstitutional, but actually adds to our health crisis by over 100,000 deaths of despair. That's Samuel Alito. To the election and the theft of the election, and you're being told that not only are the other social media, those people are they're giving you false information and you can trust us. They're also telling you that if you think that there was voter fraud, even though there's copious evidence, and that on election night, as you were watching Donald Trump pull ahead and the odds makers in Vegas saying, oh yeah, Donald Trump is going to win, all of a sudden the voting stopped in 4 battleground states. It stopped. It paused for hours. But there's nothing to see here because you know what? You can trust us. You can trust us. You just can't trust. You can't trust Newsmax, and you can't trust Parler, and you can't trust those posts on MagaBook, and you certainly can't trust those videos on Rumble.com. But you can trust us, the ones who've told you that you need to wear a mask all the time, and you need to socially distance, and your kid cannot go to school, and your kid cannot go to her play and perform, and you can't go see your kid perform, and you can't see your kid on the football field, and you certainly can't go to your kid's senior year at an NCAA school and possibly win a championship and a pro sports career. No. Your kid has to be held back a year in school because they have to stay at home. You can trust us. Don't trust those guys who are saying that it's all bullcrap. Don't trust those other guys who say other things that we don't, because the only truth you have is from us. And we've been telling you for the last 7 months to do all this, and it has resulted in nothing. And now the virus is even bigger than ever, and we need more restrictions. But we're only going to do it one time. Only 3, 4, 6 weeks nationally. Only quarantine. You can't get with your family. You can't have more than 10 people in your house. You can't go to work. Unbelievable. And now they're saying that Joe Biden won the election and there's no cheating at all. You can trust us because we tell you the truth all the time. Here is Sidney Powell, Trump lawyer, and Maria Bartiromo. Sidney Powell says that she has enough evidence to blow the lid off this. She is going to unleash the Kraken. And dear God, I hope and pray she's right.
Of Smartmatic. And it just so happens he's on listed as its former Admiral Peter Neffinger, or retired Admiral Peter Neffinger. He is president and on the board of directors of Smartmatic. And it just so happens he's on Mr. Biden's presidential transition team that's going to be non-existent.
We're talking about the voting machines that were used in 14 states, including the battleground states in question.
Because we're fixing to overturn the results of the election in multiple states.
Please do it, Sid.
And President Trump won by not just hundreds of thousands of votes, but by millions of votes that were shifted by this software.
And why do we know this? Why do you and I know this? Because we're not stupid.
It was designed expressly for that purpose. We have sworn witness testimony of why the software was designed. It was designed to rig elections. He was fully briefed on it. He saw it happen in other countries. It was exported internationally for profit by the people that are behind Smartmatic.
It was used in the election of Hugo Chavez in Venezuela.
And Dominion.
Where he got 99% of the vote.
They did this on purpose. It was calculated. They've done it before. We have evidence from 2016 in California. We have so much evidence, I feel like it's coming in through a fire hose.
Please, let that be true. We know it to be true, guys. You know it in your heart because you're not stupid. You're not stupid. So I'm going to go. I want to thank you for joining me. I want to thank the guys at Rumble for helping me out, putting my show on the front page and getting massive views. My show on Newsmax is blowing up. All of my social media is blowing up, and I'm trying to keep up with it, and I thank you very much. I know that even though I'm not a fresh face, I am a new face to you, to a lot of people in the country, as I've been on the radio for a very long time. As a writer for Rush Limbaugh, and then in different cities around the country. Again, if you want to just subscribe, one person to the end of this month is going to win a freezer full of Wagyu beef from Hassel Cattle Company. See, they're Hassell. You can order something there from Christmas. It's amazing. The best Wagyu beef in the history of mankind. It is Wagyu cattle, which is basically Japanese Wagyu cattle. It's not Wagyu, but it's their cattle bred with Angus. Okay. And then it's just the best beef you've ever had. And then, of course, pit barrel cookers are amazing. Noah and Amber Glanville. Noah Glanville put it together. He's an Iraq and Afghan war veteran. He came back from war, and some veterans had cooked barbecue for him, and he said, I know I'm home. And he made these amazing cookers. Pit Barrel Cooker. Check that out, pitbarrelcooker.com. Time for me to go. Thank you for joining me. Check me out on MagaBook. Check me out on Parler at Rob Carson Show. And again, of course, here on Rumble and YouTube. God bless you guys. Don't stop believing. Hold on to that feeling. Don't ever stop fighting for this president. Don't ever just say, okay, I'll just stay home, stay away from my friends, not go to work, and let the government run my life. Bull crap. God bless. See you.